So we hope to get this plan in place to use that again as a platform to start some high-level government discussions where we can talk about fishing management, where we can talk about protected areas, we can talk about tanker traffic, and we can talk about all the various user groups that they want to use in our territories. And as you develop and urbanize and talk about liquefied natural gas and all these things, people seem to forget that there's a subset of society that is dependent and part of that ecosystem. And we're only now being seriously taken at the table. And there's a lot of relationship building that has to take place for us to make sure that we have a sustainable cultural economy that goes along with our need for job creation in our communities.
It's not just about protecting everything. It's not just about developing everything. You know, it's about a balance. And what governs that essentially is our culture and our way of life. We need certain areas in the marine environment that are only used for sustenance purposes. But we also want to have an economy. We want to benefit from our local resources. We want an economy that's tied to our people and tied to our territory and tied to our resources. We have to be able to give future generations more than what we have today.
The marine plans identified places for shellfish aquaculture and marine-based renewable energy developments, and strongly support community-based fisheries and marine tourism.
Certainly we recognize that we're living in a world economy now, but we also know that there are things within that region that are going to be valuable to the world economy. So we're building this sustainable tourism industry. We're building a sustainable shellfish industry, a sustainable salmon industry, a sustainable groundfish industry, but incrementally. Building it up slow so that you can't tear it down quickly. If you build stuff up too fast, it falls real fast.
The development of shellfish aquaculture has been identified as a sustainable economic opportunity in British Columbia's waters. The marine plans designate management zones for shellfish aquaculture in all subregions of the planning area.
This marine planning was developed to identify the best uses of the ocean. And BC, the north coast of BC, has a lot of potential for shellfish industry. We identified many places where the shellfish aquaculture can be developed as a sustainable business. It's not only tourism or fishing activities. Aquaculture has a place here in North BC. We found out that the water quality and the environmental conditions are very, very good for the aquaculture development. Coastal Shellfish Corporation is a multi-million-dollar project. We currently have 2 sites with a total of over 200 hectares. So we're going to put several hundreds of long lines in the tenure. So we are planning to grow many millions of scallops in there. I would say the most important production of shellfish product in Canada.
Here in Klemtu, we started up a company called Spirit Bear Lodge, and have been slowly growing that over the last 15 years. And I was one of the first guides, started taking people out, and we started to realize that people around the world absolutely love bears. So people want to come for the bears and want to come for the culture. This year, we're going to employ about 45 people in my community, and it's now the second biggest industry in my community, and I think it's only going up, so it's been quite positive.
It's not like we are saying no to business, but what we're saying is no to destructive development. That's going to destroy our ecosystems and our environment. We're doing business in a different way so that when you want to come into our territory, you know that there's going to be a viable opportunity here long term. And that if industry, whether they're independent or larger corporations, work with us, we know that we can guarantee a long-term access to whatever resource is in our territory. But we have to protect what's left. It's very important.
The vision is founded on respect. Yakudang is the Haida word, and that means respect for the landscape. It's also respect for each other, and it's also, respect for all the creatures, the living creatures here in Haida Gwaii. There's several aspects to the vision. One is protection. Another one is ensuring that we have appropriate economic development here in Haida Gwaii.
The world is as sharp as the edge of a knife. There's a fine balance when it comes to resource extraction. We would love to get our people back onto the water a lot more within the fishing sector, but not at the large industrial scale, which is done more commonly today in other areas. The idea is to have more communal-based fisheries, having the species that are harvested within our territory actually delivered to our docks within Haida Gwaii and processed by not only our people but other residents that work on Haida Gwaii as well. That'll really enhance our economy a lot more than it's been in the last few years. In Haida territorial waters, on average, annually, the landed catch value is about $89 million or so. And it's a very, very small percentage. I think we'd be lucky if it's even close to 2% of that revenue hits Haida Gwaii. So it comes out of the waters that surround Haida Gwaii, but that revenue isn't hitting where it should. And it's our belief that a lot more of it can come through here and be processed and marketed through a Haida brand.
Haida Wild is part of a longer-term vision for gaining greater local benefits from the fishing that occurs in Haida territory. Marine planning is about supporting and growing these opportunities, while at the same time ensuring long-term cultural and ecological protection.
We buy from select commercial fishermen based on their quality of catch, and we process it for value adding. So we'll do Chinook salmon, coho salmon, you do ground fish, or you've got halibut, rockfish, rough-eye, some different species, lingcod. We also do some shellfish. We find prawns, smoked black cod. We went from a staff from previous years of about 10 to 12 people, and this year, right now, I've got 23 people employed here. So we've increased, 13 new jobs this year alone.
I really love this place, and I really want to see the communities and the ecology, like ecological communities and human communities, benefit and do well over the long term together. So this place, like many other places on the coast, has a very long history of people being part of the ecosystem. So in this case, over 10,000 years with the Haida. And so our society has maybe lost its connection with place. And so this is a way of reestablishing local communities and their say in what happens to their place.
The tagline of the government is Supernatural British Columbia. And if we just let the development keep going without some kind of coordination, then there would just be ongoing unchecked development that ultimately would destroy all the values that we hold dear and what a lot of the people on the coast hold dear. The MAP process is comprehensive, that takes into account all the user groups, not only commercial recreation, but also public recreation, conservation, and all the other sectors that have come to the table so that we can maintain that vision for a supernatural BC.